Hello, hi, welcome to GMA Talk, your most beloved, your most awesome, your most talk show right here on YouTube and all your favorite social media platform, GMA Talk, with your host, yours truly, Gerard Mutabazi Amani. Thank you very much for joining yet on this week's exciting and informative and inspiring GMA Talk video. And if you haven't watched the previous videos where we talk about COVID-19 and vaccination for refugees, and also the ongoing conflicts in and unrest in Ethiopia and also Central African Republic, the last video, please go ahead and watch it. Feel free to share, comment, like, and please don't forget to subscribe. Please subscribe. So this week, the world celebrated International Women's Day. But what we want to talk about and what we want to cover and highlight on this week's video is refugee women. When it comes to refugee women, in terms of the hardships, in terms of the suffering, in terms of the challenges, in terms of the support, that refugee women and also children, young girls and boys, they really need assistance when it comes to challenges and conflicts and war zone and other really lot of things which happen in conflicts. So to start with, first of all, when we think of International Women's Day and its meaningfulness, mostly, it talks about in terms of advocating for equality, whether it's in the workplace, in a community, in terms of family-wise, in terms of responsibilities, and just ensure that, women have same equal opportunities to strive, and also not just equal opportunities, but also when it comes like to the pay level, because sometimes you find, men and women, they're doing the same job, sometimes same education, same experience, but the man is being paid more. Or sometimes you find, even the women have more education or more experience, but the women is getting less than what the man is getting, with even not equal the experience and education. So that's what, really call to action or call for equality, among the workforce, in the family, in society, of opportunities in education, in employment, when it comes to International Women's Day, and recognizing that the inequality in our society that exists, and trying to really do actions and do changes in terms of helping here in the society, improving and trying to help and support, or trying to provide the means and opportunities available for women to strive as equally and be valued as equally as their counterparts. So, but now what we want to get into is the hardship and the challenge that women face in conflicts and in refugee camps, and the trauma that they go through. So when it comes to conflict, first of all, because we have heard of conflicts being like women being used as a weapons, rather like in terms of rape, rather in terms of bargain chip, or the children being taken away, or they're being tortured, they're being abused, they're being killed. So this is what it means for women being used as a weapon in war. And most of the time you get in conflicts such as in a rebel fighting conflicts or civil war conflicts, that you are getting like women really at the most disadvantaged in society, being caught. Everybody of course is being caught, but women specifically, they're really facing more torture. They are raped, they are killed, the children are killed, the children are raped, the children are tortured, even sometimes in front of them. So for example, in the eastern part of Congo, where the rebel groups are operating, you always hear a story and horror story of women being raped, women being used as a weapon in war, being used as a bargain chip in war, being really killed, for the rebel group to get their way. Even when we look in terms of other conflicts that has, whether it's in terms of in Somalia, whether it's in terms of the famine, whether it's in terms of the civil war, even now in some section of Ethiopia where the conflict is happening, you're always getting women. They are caught in the middle, they are caught in conflicts, they are tortured, they are raped, they are kidnapped, they are used as bargain chips. So when we look at all this example, when we think of all this example, and not just in terms of African countries, but around the world also, for example, when we look at South American and countries, where often there's a lot of gang activities, right? You're getting people fleeing for their lives, whether it's in they're having like the direct connection or they're not having direct connection, then you are getting women being in there often in the forefront of this drug war troubles. They are being used, they are being abused, and even in political unrest or even in fighting itself, you are getting this injustice which is happening to women in conflicts. And the reason that we're really highlighting all these scenarios and all these issues, because at the end of the day now, when these women, they become internally displaced or become needing assistance, when they start going through traumas, then a lot of help and support is needed, to really care and support our women in society. And even in times of conflicts, we really need to advocate, we really need to push forward, for means and mechanism to ensure that women are not being used as weapon of war, they're not being tortured, they're not being raped, and otherwise anything bad happening in conflicts that involve injustice against humanity. Because at the end of the day, all of this translates, when now people will start running for their life, start fleeing to become refugee. Most of the time, you're getting women and children fleeing by themselves. Most of the time, you're getting like the father of the child, then her husband was killed during the conflict, and then she was left at that disadvantage, and she had no choice but to flee. After all this torture and abuse, or even sometimes you're getting, in terms of conflicts wise, the women and children, maybe just flee, and the husband on the other side, and nobody knows where other person is. So, and then when women become refugees, they really, as we know in society, women, they are really caretakers and caregivers, are affectionate, there's really a lot of things, which women do in society in general. They hold the society together. They hold the house together. They have huge and great wisdom that they bring to the table, whether it's in familyhood, whether it's in communityhood, or whether it's in nationhood, and that's why really we need to continuously pushing, and providing means and making means available, for women to strive in employment, for women to strive in education, for women to strive in entrepreneurship and all other ventures and means that they want to take as part of their belonging in society, as part of their belonging in the family. So when when women become refugees, then they really the organizations such as UNHCR, they have to really provide a lot of trauma support, a lot of counseling support, trying to really talk, of how the situation went or what the experience was like. And now you can imagine, how traumatized again is to relive, the experience. Imagine you've been raped, imagine you've been abused, imagine you were at the point of death, and then sitting there in front of a person, often who you don't know, but they work for the organization and they are there to assist you accordingly. But detailing like every detail, if in the situation that you went through, the trauma that you went through, the abuse, the rape, and the action. So then this, that in some cases, it create like psychological problems, in terms of, when it comes to the abuse and rape of women. So for me, when I really think, they're calling for equality, or they're calling for opportunities, or they're calling for equal means for women and men, or the meaning of International Women's Day. When we talk about that, we really we not looking at in terms of refugee wise, the women and children who are refugees. Even when we talk, for example, in the education aspect, yes, we are advocating education for women in our society, in our countries, everywhere. But even in refugees, women, refugees, children, girls, they also need equal advocating when it comes to the education and their means, because these same refugee girls and women, they are the future of the country, or the future of their adopted nation, or the future of the host country. So really, that's why we wanted to highlight today in terms of the significance of not only of International Women's Day, but also take it the other level and say, okay, how can refugees, women and children be also supported, right? So we need to make sure that education is being invested in refugees, women and girls. We need to make sure vocational opportunities is equally being invested in refugees, women and girls. We need to make sure that when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to socio-economical means, when it comes to support, every means that is being taken to protect others in society should be offered and catered also to women and girls who are refugees. Because when we are not doing this, we are leaving a section of our population behind, because there's so many young girls, they are out of school. There's so many young girls with longing to be back in school, longing even to start school, longing even to step foot in school. So we really need to take action. We need to call on our levels of government. We need to call on our organizations. We need to call on host countries to ensure that refugees, girls and women, they are being offered access to opportunities, access to vocational training, access to employment opportunities. Because only when this happens can we continuously advocating, can we say we're advocating for women's equal rights and equal participation and equal belongings in our society. So a call to action is, when you are calling for equality, when you're calling for women's rights, when you're calling for equal rights, don't forget the women and children who are refugees in refugee camps, suffering, struggling without education, without employment, without vocational training, without health care, without social services, social assistant. So we need to remember these sections of women who often in the media it's not talked about, who often in the media it's drowned among the other talk that is happening in the region. And the reason that we need to talk and invest in women and girls who are refugees, because the traumas that some of them have already experienced, or the things that some of them have gone through, they really need support and assistance to try, to calm down, or to try to resolve some of the issues that is going in their mind, to resolve some of the situation that is still happening sometime in their life. So really, call to action on International Women's Day, really need to also look on the rights of refugees, women and girls, the rights, because when we talk about human rights, the refugees' right is also human right. When you talk about equality in our society, we need also to not overlook or disregard the refugees and the situation. So that's it, GMA Talk right here. Stay tuned next week, lively video. Like, comment, share, please support, and don't forget to subscribe. Please, 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 please subscribe. Until next time, from yours truly, Gerard Mutabazi Amani.